What is up? Welcome back to the episode of the Cinestro. Course, your boy Blacksby, and today we're talking about two trailers for upcoming shows. One show that's currently on TV, and one movie that's out in theaters. You already know the vibes. It's your boys here at the Cinestro Core. If you don't know, get here.
Cinestro Core, the cast. It's your weekly gold mine. Stay tuned in. Stay tuned in. They got the beats, got those comic spins. I stay tuned in. Stay tuned.
How do we tattoo that theme song onto my head? I
The
want to
QR.
tattoo a QR code right here. Y'all can scan that shit as soon as you come up to me at the Cinestro Core.
It just
Man.
plays it on every phone.
Welcome back to Cinestro Core, guys. It's your boys, the greatest podcast on earth. We're about to cook. Speaking of cooking, what is James Gunn cooking over at the DCU with this upcoming season of Peacemaker?
Nice, boy, baby boy.
Justice, liberty. Do you really want to? Do you really want to taste the
Are we
It's
getting a
crazy
new
to-
opening? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
I think it's the same one because for the instrumental of the trailer, it sounded like it was just using parts of the motif of the song. So I think we're keeping the
bet.
one, which is great because I remember I was looking at behind the scenes for the first season, and James Gunn was like, I wanted to create not only just musically an unskippable intro, but also visually, and I feel like I genuinely
He
think
succeeded.
about my. I don't think I skipped it once. I really don't think so.
Nope.
It was just fun to watch it because I noticed a new little part of the dance. So I really hope the theme song is the same, or they do a
That's
new
what it's
routine. That'd be cool too. That'd be
So
awesome.
we
I
all
mean-
saw the trailer, and how do we feel about it? How
Oh,
do we
yeah,
feel
I
about
saw
season
it
two?
twice.
I'm hyped. I already know they're gonna bring some shit. Some shit's going down. We saw a little bit of that with we'll skip. Yeah, we'll get to that. So we saw a little bit of the pocket universe that they're doing and having all this random shit go on, which is crazy because like if you think about the grand scale of the DCU and like all the heroes and people that are going to be introduced, Peacemaker is like right here on the totem pole, bro. Yet he's doing all this crazy shit.
Go a little
Well,
lower, yeah.
Maybe Az can explain, or Matt, because you have comic knowledge, a lot of more comic knowledge than I do as well. How are they going to explain, like, because this show, the first season happened before James Gunn, Peter Safran,
Mhm.
DC universe kind of started, right? And this is and so season two takes place after this new kind of regime comes in and is shaping and forming this new DC universe. How do you have any ideas? Is there any indication as to how they're going to explain kind of like what happened in season one, where we saw outlines of the Justice League, mind you? We know those characters
saw
were introduced in the
Aquaman's
finale.
face.
We saw Aquaman, who's going to play Lobo. So it's like, do you have any
Listen,
idea or indication like how they're going to explain that at all?
Easy.
Here's the way.
Easy.
Here's
Because
the way it
hold
is.
on, let me preface this because in this trailer we see Isabella Merced's hot girl, and we see
Maxwell
Nathan
Lord.
Fillion's, and we see Nathan
You
Fillion's
see,
Guy Gardner.
Guy
you know,
Gardner,
so we
yeah.
know for a fact that it is tied
it
into
is in
this
continuity,
new
Yeah.
DC universe. So
we
so
see
any
James Gunn fuck ass brother cast again.
Dude, Sean Gunn is fun. Fuck you.
hey,
He's a good
honestly,
Nepo.
that's a
I
good
like
Nepo.
No, that's real. That's real. I love it.
It's a real Nepo.
And look, and
Hiding behind
honestly,
CGI again.
it's also he only works in his brother's stuff. So it's
Yeah,
like
produced or
I respect
directed.
it. I respect it. It's
I
like
do the same
he
thing.
said, if you're eating, I'm eating. So it's
AZ
like
can back me on this, bro.
Mhm.
There's so many loopholes to like change shit in the DC. I know they introduced the multiverse with Marvel and they beat
Mhm.
DC to the punch, but DC literally resets their universe every 5 years.
yeah.
There's some type of crisis. There's some type of big ass event, and they're like, "Oh, reset button, flashpoint, reset button."
I swear, bro. Johnny Manziel lasted longer in his NFL career than DC last
Who the
with
fuck
making a
is that?
fucking universe.
Hmm.
Exactly my goddamn point.
just in like the last 15 years, they've done Crisis on Infinite Earth
They
and the New
3
52 and
so they
three.
did
Yeah, they've done it
two,
multiple
Yeah.
and they
times.
also did Doomsday Clock, yes, and they've
Yes,
also
Doomsday
done
Clock,
absolute
yes.
crossover.
I
They've
think
done
the
Perpetual
most,
at the end
like,
of the multiverse. They've done this so many fucking times, and I'm sick and goddamn tired of it. But at this point, I expect it and I welcome it. And the thing is, with DC, whenever you're reading it or you're watching it or there's a new
Mhm.
continuity,
Mhm.
this movie or this show is going to do the same thing continuity-wise that every other DC thing does. This is the only continuity that matters until it doesn't. Until
Right.
they reference something that happens from the past, this is all new, and you can just pretend that that Aquaman that he saw wasn't Jason Momoa. It was some other fucking guy. He didn't see that Ezra Miller Flash, right? The silhouettes were of two different looking David Cornsweet and I forgot what the other woman who was playing allegedly Wonder Woman.
Gal Gadot.
No, he's talking about the new one.
No. The
Oh,
new
we
one.
don't know. We don't know yet.
The girl who's
Casting.
getting like
Okay.
Grace Curry.
Adria Arjona.
Grace Curry.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, it could be any of those people. For all we fucking know, it could be goddamn Dick Grayson feeling like he's frisky and then putting on the dress.
Yeah.
We don't know,
No thanks.
right? It could be any number of things, right? And with this, I'm thinking the way the Pocket Universe works is similar to like the TARDIS from Doctor Who, or just like some kind of room, right? And it has many entrances throughout different universes. Because if there's a multiverse of constants, right, that means that Peacemaker's dad, as much as he's a genius, is also a lazy piece of shit. So if he finds a pocket universe, he's not going to go find another one. He's going to be like, well, this one's already here. It's got weapons in it. Fuck it. I'll just use this one. Oh, you hate black people? I hate black people too. Hello, multiverse and me. We'll share the room. That's it. And that's what I'm assuming is happening in this scene that we have on screen here anyway. But yeah, continuity doesn't really matter on the whole. I don't think it's going to have any real bearing.
Yeah, I think that's the only.
It's gonna be something really like. It's gonna be something really obvious, but also really quick. You know, like, oh yeah, hey, guess what? We're also changing shit over, guys. And then my guess, this probably won't happen, but it'd be cool if it does. They'll try and do like that scene whenever he's talking to the Justice League as a flashback, and they'll just be different actors this time instead of like Jason Momoa, etc. And just try and play it off like, oh yeah, we reset this shit. Don't worry.
James
Gunn
also said he's like, if I say it's canon, it's canon. If not, shut up.
and that's
boy,
the thing about,
I guess Dave Filoni.
That's the way to go about it.
But that's the thing about James Gunn's style. James Gunn's style is that it's kind of, it's so nonsensical and so kind of goofy and kind of like out of the loop. They can get away with doing something like that. And I think this show, if this show in particular, I think based on the tone that the first season set, can kind of get away with some meta kind of aspects, kind of kind of goofy, out of the loop kind of way of trying to explain how it's now canonized in this new DC. So that was the only thing that was really concerning to me, because I mean, I think we covered it whenever the first season came out. I loved the first season. I thought it was a lot of fun. We'll say it once, we'll say it again. James Gunn doesn't miss. He's got such a good hold on these characters and this tone and the kind of stories that he wants to tell and the stories that he wants to tell. And I think that DC, obviously, they gave him the reins of the DC kind of the reins of DC universe because they trust him and they understand just what capable hands it's in. So, I'm excited for season 2. We've joked and we've talked about kind of like the nepotism of it all, but at the end of the day, James Gunn, I think, is such a solid filmmaker, and I just he works for you or he doesn't. I think I'm on the same wavelength as him. I like his humor. I like his filmmaking. I like his action. I like the storytelling, and I like the choices that he makes with these characters and within these universes. That I think this show is going to be great. I think it's going to be better than season 1 because of the universe that it's in and kind of the world building that's going to be established because of Superman in this show. And I think he's going to have a lot more tools to play with, and I think that's exciting.
Yeah, and to hit on what Luis was saying about just it pairing with like Superman and all these other different shows, is that James Gunn with season 1 and even with the Suicide Squad movie, he kind of made references to the first one, but for the most part kept it kind of vague continuity wise as to like what was going on in the world. And I think with starting his DCU with this Superman film upcoming and extending it with things like Peacemaker, I guess Creature Commandos is there too, or whatever, and Lantern.
We ignore that. We're ignoring that.
We
Yeah.
act like that didn't happen.
But because this is a universe that's already established, right? And you can just keep on adding and adding on to it. You don't have a single jumping off point. You don't have to worry about different things mixing in, different continuity errors and all that stuff, because you don't know what your universe looks like yet, right? Because you're starting in the middle, you can just expand outward until you reach both its beginning and its end on either side. So I think that's a really good use of storytelling. Unlike a different thing that has a trailer that I think.
Hold on. Let's say if we're hyped for this
hype meter.
Yeah,
show.
so our hype real quick. Season 1 surprised me, and it was very good. I'm also very hyped for season 2. I trust James Gunn. I've seen his work. We're not going to talk about Brightburn, but everything
He did
else.
not direct that.
It's
He
a fun
didn't direct
time.
that shit. It doesn't count. He
And
didn't
even
write
still,
or
it's
direct,
fun.
and it doesn't count if he didn't write or direct it. Suck
What's
my
his
dick.
name on it?
If
Hey,
you like
Ryan
it,
Coogler's name
if
is
you
not
don't
on
like it, it
Ironheart.
doesn't
Ryan
count.
Coogler's name on Ironheart.
And are we gonna say it's one of his worst projects because it's gonna be dog shit? No.
Yeah, he has worse.
We don't know yet. We don't know if it's gonna be dog shit.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. But I'm not gonna blame Ryan Coogler's not the reason why it is. But we'll get to that in a little.
I'll
get to it.
I'll give this.
I'm saying 10 out of 10 hype.
Same.
I'll go a 10 if they cut down some of the riffing, because I felt like it was dragging on a little bit too much in the first season at certain points. But realistically, just as a whole, 9.9. It's a very small, minuscule nitpick because I love everything else about the show. 9.9 to 10.
It's like a 7. I don't really care about this show.
No,
I don't care how
Same
often I'm going to
thing.
see James Gunn's wife in this fucking show. Who cares? Just let it out. If I enjoy it, I enjoy it. If I don't, whatever. I still have Marvel.
Yeah, I'm a 10 out of 10. I love James Gunn. I like season 1. I'm excited for it. I think it's gonna be a good time. It's fun.
But are you as excited for the next show we're about to talk about, Luis?
This show, wait. You know what? You know what I really like about Peacemaker? The amount of
What?
heart it has. You know what else has heart? Marvel's Ironheart coming to Disney Plus.
But it has no fucking soul. Let me tell you that.
That was
Despite
better.
having
That was better than whatever AZ was about to say.
I could smell it coming from a mile away, so I was like, hold on. Let me save this.
Bro,
To be fair,
Luis
I don't even-
pulled up like the hood to pay AZ not to say that shit.
Speaking of
You know
the hood,
what?
kill
Mhm.
Anthony Ramos.
Okay, let's go. Here we go. Ironheart. Ironheart is the other trailer that dropped last week that we didn't get to talk about.
Thank God.
We have thoughts.
It's
we have very strong feelings about this show. I think.
my feelings are just basically confusion and wondering what's going to happen here, because they did not. First of all, this is the first of anything we're hearing about this show. The first marketing.
There's no marketing whatsoever.
And it drops next month, bro. It drops next month in between, mind you, in between like 50 different banger movies and shows coming out.
That's such a bad.
It's the
show
same
of faith.
That's a terrible release.
This is what I told my girlfriend earlier. They're releasing Lilo and Stitch the same day as they release Mission
Which is
Impossible.
going to make like $800,000.
Like
Thousand.
you cannot put your show or movie at a disadvantage in such a way, and that's exactly what Marvel is doing with Ironheart.
But that goes to show you that in my opinion, they don't have faith in the show.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't marketed it.
Yeah.
We haven't got this. Is the trailer that we saw came out last week, a month before the premiere of the show. They don't usually do that. They like to tease. They tease teasers months in advance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fact that we
Look
got
at
the
what they
whole
do with
trailer
Fantastic
from
Four.
drop exactly. The fact that we got the whole trailer drop a month before release date is not
Doesn't bode well.
doesn't bode
So-
well. And look. Let's preface this conversation. I think it's very important to say that you will hear a lot of shit about this show. People will talk a lot of shit about it. A lot of them are racist pieces of shit. Fuck every single goddamn one of them. This has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of what's her last name's Thorne. I forget her first name. Dominique has nothing to do with Dominique Thorne. You racist pieces of shit can fuck off and go to hell. It has absolutely nothing to do with that, right? So let's just preface this conversation by saying that we're anti all the racial abuse. all the racial abuse that we know this show is going to get, and a lot of the negative racist coverage this show is already getting because it centers a black woman, and and kind of as a lead of a show. So we'll navigate this conversation knowingly, considering all that context, right? Because I think it's very important to preface the conversation, especially when you're not so positive about a show, with that existing. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And it's crazy because like the little bit we got from Dominique Thorne in what's it called, Wakanda Forever, I feel like it was not the I don't know how to word this. It could have been good. It could have been done better. It could have been done up more. You know what I mean?
You said it was a good
start.
Agreed.
It was a good start, but it could have been done up more. They could have gone.
I wholeheartedly agree.
The cop out of having her be in Wakanda to make the Ironheart suit. It felt cheapened, and it took away from.
Yeah, it felt shoehorned in.
Yeah, and I think this show should be a good pivot. And like, hey, look, we know what happened in Wakanda Forever. We're taking that into account, but we're also going to make sure the Ironheart stands on her own legs going forward. The problem is the age that we live in right now. Even if they did market the show correctly, it's still going to get hate. It's still going to get attacked by the basement dwelling losers out there. It's already started, bro, and I'm sick of it. That shit's so. Anyways. I don't want to get too far deep into my.
I hope this show is good.
I do.
I want it to be good, right? Mm-hmm. And I want it to be good so that all those motherfuckers can fuck off and suck a dick and die.
Now,
right?
what I
like and horrifically,
and horrifically, yeah. My displeasure with this show has absolutely nothing. It has more to do with the fact that Ironheart's. Us being presented like Ironheart's introduction to Wakanda Forever, you already touched on, seemed forced and shoehorned in. I think Dominique Thorne did a pretty good job considering, right? She didn't have much to do. Her character arc was very compressed in a short period of time in a movie that should not have had her in it at all, I think, right? And it feels like her introduction in Wakanda Forever was a direct result of the fact that it was at the time when the MCU and Bob, or I don't know if it was Chapek or Iger were like, we want to flood Disney Plus with as much content as possible. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, perfect. We have this character named Ironheart. Guess what? We can introduce her in Wakanda Forever, and then we'll have her own spin-off show. And when that's not the way to go about telling stories, because that's the characters and the stories you're trying to tell aren't the priority, and you can tell. And I think that's why, exactly. And I think that's why we have such a sour taste of this show, just from the get-go, right? The lack of promotion, the fact that it doesn't look that great. It's not visually stunning. It doesn't look like it's directed particularly well, and it seems like it's just a tie-in for a character whose introduction was less than stellar and a bit underwhelming,
And it feels like. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, AZ. My apologies, my brother. I feel like the misstep that like you said, Bob, not Big Bobby, but Bobby Iger.
Fuck him too.
Bob, that's another topic. But the other Bob C. I feel like he's the reason why we have all this Marvel fatigue, so to speak. That's what everyone's calling online. And the way they should have gone about this show, you had a good setup. Armor Wars was going to be a show, then a movie, then all this shit's going everywhere. You already have an established character with Rhodey. You already know that Ironheart exists in the comic universe as this super genius. She's 15, 16 years old, absolute genius black girl who creates her own Iron Man suit, her own armor suit. Mm-hmm. Why not let that be your basis of the Armor Wars movie? Let that be her film. If you want to introduce another character, don't tack it onto something where it's like it feels like she feels out of place. This war between the Wakandans and Talocan, it doesn't make any sense having Riri dangled in the middle of that. And I think that's one of the things that Bob Iger said he wants to move back to, the quality, or was it Kevin Feige said it? One of them two said it. They want to move back to quality over quantity. We're not flooding not inundating folks with movie after movie, then show after show, and it's just lackluster, mid, trash. I don't want to see that, you know.
I think it was around the time of like late 2019, so from like during the pandemic, right? Like into the 2020s when Marvel had all this content they were filming and they were having in production, and they wanted to take advantage of people being stuck at home, so they really put all their money into the streaming era. They had all this buildup of different series, different ideas, you know, different back catalog of things. And one of the things we kept on hearing about, along with Armor Wars being shuffled around, was Ironheart, right? There wasn't a whole lot of real big buildup to it. However, publication-wise, whenever Marvel would put out comics, they would put out more and more things featuring Ironheart around like that 2019, 2020 era, right? She would be teaming up with the Wakandans like she was in Wakanda Forever and things like that, right? The Champions and Young Avengers. But as of late, to my knowledge, for like the past 2.5 to 3 years-ish, when this is actually about to drop, I didn't even think about the fact that the writer's strike happened, so that probably pushed it even further, right? Thinking about how there's not really many comics featuring her, they're not really trying to get her into like the comic readers' good graces, right? Kind of just a nothing character, kind of just shuffled off to the side from a semi-forgettable role. And that really seems like a disservice, because this is one of the first Marvel things I've seen in a while to have, like, for one, we have a practical Iron Man suit, like an actual, like, practical one, like I've seen.
Which is cool.
Yeah, which hasn't been seen in years.
Yeah, there's some actual weight to
and
it.
It feels real. It feels real. Where the feeling is back.
It's tangible. Yeah, and there's a lot of work going in, but then you also have things that make me question the quality of it. Like, why the fuck is the Hood the villain? It's the only
Anthony Ramos. No. Why is Anthony Ramos the Hood? Forget the Hood.
Let's be specific.
Why
could have been the
Ramos
Hood? Why is Anthony Ramos the fucking Hood? No, I think I see exactly. I see exactly.
You got a villain with no gravitas. Is the point?
No, I see exactly what you're saying, AZ, and I think this show, like, to get serious for a second, I think has a lot of things going against it, and a lot of it is not. It's not Dominic Thorne's fault. It's not the show's fault, right? Like you said, the writer strike and the fact that this came from a different era, the MCU and Disney kind of leadership in which they were trying to, expand and push.
It's a victim of circumstance. More than
exactly, it's a victim of circumstance. Exactly, that's perfectly put. It's a victim of circumstance more than anything, and I think we're not excited for it because of what we've seen, but I think, let me speak for myself. I hope it surprises me and is better than I think it's going to be, because I think that's a win, right? Because I think everybody's expecting the show. Most people are expecting the show to be bad and unwatchable and just not. And if it's decent and a good time and just
so
kind of like,
it's better than Secret Wars,
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. I'm fine.
It's not hard to be. It's not hard to be better than Secret Invasion.
But that's the bar. That's what they got to be.
As
long as it's
on
there,
Marvel Rivals is better than Secret Invasion.
It's the PE class of cinema. Truly is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think So I mean, I don't know if you guys have any more thoughts on it before we can get to our hype meter, but.
My only thought is the posters are hard as hell.
Yeah,
posters are hard as hell, bro.
Yeah, that is fire.
This poster is so hard, bro. I hope this poster is a testament to how actually good the show is going to be. I think
honestly,
we might be in for a good surprise if it's actually good. If
I like looking at my screen when the show is on as much as I like looking at my screen when this poster's here, I think we're good. I think we're solid.
I don't feel good about them attaching Ryan Coogler's name so heavily about this project.
Yeah,
also,
they just kind of sprinkled it in there after
Sinners. Using his recent success to try and like up this show's cred, I guess.
See, I think
I'm scared that it's not going to live up to it.
I think Sinners was just kind of they're like, oh fuck, look at this movie he made, and it's awesome, it's popular, people love it. That's incredible. I think they're going to attach his name to it regardless, because he introduced the character in Wakanda Forever, and I think he did executive produce the show, and I do think it is kind of, I don't know how involved he was. I don't know how much of a hand he had in making the overall show. But I think Sinners being as successful as it is, and as popular as it is, and as good as it is a positive for them. They're like, oh fuck, here we go. We're already gonna put the Ryan Coogler's EP because people love the Black Panther movies and the Creed movies, and the Sinners just kind of gave it a boost. So, we were joking about whether or not we're gonna hold this, in his against him if it's bad, and and if it's his fault it's good or not. I think it's completely independent of it. I think I personally think he has not that much a hand
control
or control, even though he's an executive producer. I think it's mostly a name, and just so you can get that EP credit and get paid, as opposed to actually how many days he was on set and like guiding the story or the production or whatever.
I feel like him being directly involved would have been, great to see, him, because he can navigate material really well, as we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I think let's just say this is successful, but not as successful as they want it to be. They tack Ryan back on, let him go ahead, and if they do go ahead and greenlight Ironheart season 2, I see him having a bigger role moving forward with this character. So
I don't know. I mean, does he want to? How involved is he
right now?
MCU moving forward?
Right now, after he's done Sinners, he can do whatever he wants. He can tell them no if he wants to.
Exactly.
So I think it's kind of Marvel's in a very interesting spot with Ryan and with the IPs and characters he's touched so far.
Black Panther 3 is coming out, and Denzel Washington, while promoting Gladiator 2, kind of let spill that Ryan Coogler reached out to him to be in Black Panther 3, and that he has kind of discussed with him about working with him and being in that movie. So that's kind of out there, and
he hasn't reached out to me.
So we know he is doing that, but I don't know. So how hype are we for this show? I'll go first.
Cautious.
Go
ahead.
I'll say I'm like a 6.5. I'm curious to see how it is. I think if the first couple episodes are bad, I might just tune out and not watch it. So, I don't. Mephisto's in it. Sacha Baron Cohen is Mephisto.
Fuck that guy.
So we'll see.
King Julian.
We'll see how. I mean, do people even care about that anymore? I don't know. We'll see.
No.
Well,
because they said Mephisto was going to be in
Loki.
WandaVision.
No, WandaVision.
Mephisto going to be in Loki. Mephisto going to be in this. We don't care.
They're finally giving us Mephisto,
Ghost Rider,
one of the biggest fantastical villains in Marvel. Let's put him in the Iron Man show. Yeah.
Well, because doesn't he get his powers from Mephisto?
Yes, that's the point. Like, why are we? Yeah. Why was he not in Agatha? Why was he not in Loki? Why was he not in WandaVision?
Yeah,
where it fits.
There is much more appropriate shows for him to be in, because at the end of the day, the Hood isn't like a magical dude. He's not all powerful. He's just some 2-bit dumbass with dual.
He's got a lucky break. He got that shit.
Yeah, he's the only character that in the entirety of his existence, the Watcher has ever called a thundering dumbass.
Thundering dumbass is crazy.
There's no possible way I'm going to be able to watch this and give him a threat. I'm at a 5. I'm so middle of the road, unfazed, dude. I'm just so blank.
Yeah.
I'm at a cautious 7. 6. I'm sorry, cautious 6. I said 7. Cautious 6 because I want to. Hopefully, the first episode blows everything out of the water.
It won't.
Kind of build.
I'm telling you right now.
I'm trying to be hopeful, man. I'm trying to be.
The waters have never been more still, my friend.
Hey, man,
clear water.
We gonna see. We're gonna see. I think the biggest detractor for me is Anthony Ramos' inability to do any other accent. I heard the same accent in Twisters. I heard the same accent in The Heights. I heard the same accent in Hamilton.
Heard the same accent in 21 Chump Street.
Like, brother, he was in that.
21 Chump Street.
Nobody knows.
It's a musical.
It's fine.
It's a musical based on a real life story, which 21 Jump Street.
My rating is like at a 3. I don't give a fuck about this show. Let's move on.
Anthony Ramos brought it down for him from like 6 to 3.
Yeah, if Anthony
it was
Ramos
at a 4.
How excited would you be?
4. I don't care.
Oh, so you
I
don't
don't
hate him
care.
that much. You don't hate him that much.
You're right. It's a 2.
Damn.
The show is so uninteresting to me.
Yeah,
I'm gonna watch
speaking of-
it. I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
it because I need to have something on the screen, but I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of 2, The Last of Us
Season
season 2 just had a new episode. I'm sorry. Thanks for the assist.
I thought y'all will.
I had to
Anytime.
get you that layup.
I thought y'all will.
He taught as well. No, Last of Us
Last
season
of Us
2.
season 2 banger episode. This one right here. Oh my gosh! Ashley and I cried, dude.
I cried multiple
Both of
times.
us.
It was legit, like emotional.
I hate to tell y'all
Heavy
this.
emotion.
Y'all know who directed
I
this
would've
shit?
cried.
Neil Druckmann.
Christ.
Neil Cuckman, real
Neil
Cuckman,
Druckmann, bro.
real Cuckman.
Never mind. This
No.
episode sucked. It was doo doo. I hated it.
Listen,
No. I think
listen,
you know, with this
yeah.
episode, kind of like brought to a realization is whether I like it or not. How important Pedro Pascal I think is to this series, and maybe.
Yeah, he's the second main character. What the fuck? You just realized that?
No.
leaned in
But
like someone's about to shoot
but
you for
I
telling
mean-
a secret.
Well, no, but I mean, but
He
like,
said,
I've-
you know the
I've-
protagonist of the first season? I
Yes.
just realized he's kind of
he's
important.
important
Shut
to
the
the
fuck,
overarching
y'all, bro.
story.
What I'm trying to say is that I didn't feel as much when I was playing the game, and then season 2 happened,
Insane.
and when Joel dies, it's just kind of like, okay, I get it. I
Yeah.
know what they have to do because I know what to expect.
That's
Yeah.
And then
because
we-
you
and then-
knew it was gonna happen.
Listen, I
Very
know, but
different.
and then we got a couple episodes in. I'm just like, okay, I see what it is. And then Pedro is then again reintroduced to the show. And I was like, fuck, man.
You know,
He's him,
you know
bro.
why?
Nobody. It's just like nobody on the show is
Lucas,
doing
you
it like
wanna know-
like.
you wanna
like
know
Pedro's
why?
doing
I
it.
know somebody who's doing it.
You want to know why
Tony
you're getting
Dalton.
more of an impact from Joel. It's not just the changes in the story they've made. It's the fact that they've put the story in an actually emotionally connecting order, like
Mhm.
like in an order that makes you actually care that Joel's death happened. But you could also maybe later on, God forbid that ever happens and you get struck down, but you could see through Abby's point of view.
Right. And the
You get to
idea
that point.
and the idea
Right.
that violence and abuse is not abuse, but that violence is like cyclical, right? And it's something that is learned,
Exactly.
and there's something that you
I don't
can't
know
kind
nothing
of
about that.
overcome, you know. And I think that flashback to Joel and Tommy's childhood, and kind of like us meeting his father, and like
seeing where they came from,
and seeing where they came from, and where like, and I just think it makes Joel's character much more deep and much more complex than he already was. Kind of the idea that he wanted to break the cycle of violence, and ultimately he didn't. Right?
Yeah, he
He
failed.
thought his heart was in the right place. Right? He loved Ellie so much that he had to resort to violence to save her. But that same violence begets violence. That same violence then is what turns, is what starts Abby out in her, revenge tale. And so it's just kind of like, I just think, although kind of heavy-handed and a bit on the nose, I think it really brings to like kind of like the themes and what the show is trying to say. Right. And I think it was beautifully done in a really short scene that was not in the games. And I'm just like, okay, I get it. Yeah, of course. That's why he's like this. I mean, that's why it just makes him more tragic of a character, I think.
Also, the decision to have Tony Dalton portray Joel's father, and as short as he was in that scene in this episode, he just commands the screen real well, and it really drives home that like Louis said, it's something being passed down. That violence is being passed down from Officer Miller's father, who punched him so hard that he broke his jaw. He broke his own son's jaw. To him, Officer Miller, I think his name's Javier Miller, beating Joel and Tommy. To Joel trying to change, but still instilling violence in Ellie in some way. She's traveled this across the country with him during all of season 1. And all she's seen is him do violent acts the whole time. That's all she's learned from him. Of course, now as they settle into Jackson, you see through the flashbacks all the loving side and him really trying to be a good father. The chance that he never got to get with Sarah growing up, because she
Mhm.
died in the first episode, as we saw.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after Joel gets murdered, Ellie goes on her own path of violence. And let's just say, not knowing anything past about game two, let's say they find a way to live happily ever after with Dina and the little baby. What's going to happen there? You know, it's just endless vicious cycle. And I think that's a really, it's something that needs to be addressed, be told in this format is really good. So I can't say anything negative about the way they approach this episode.
I like how we kind of see, like, because when we first get into season 2, we see that Joel and Ellie are already established community members in Jackson. Right, they kind of get along with everybody. Everybody's like, "Oh, that's Joel, that's Ellie. Oh, that's the mayor. I don't know what the fuck Tommy is, government speaking, but that's his brother right there. That's
he's a nepo
husband.
Nepo husband. His wife runs everything.
He's the nepo husband.
What's it called? The first lady, but for men.
First husband, first man.
First husband.
He's the first brother. But it flashes back to his early days. It flashes back to his early days in the community, and you get to see how he gets along more with some people than others. But you get to see how they establish roots and how, you know, he's kind of trying to establish this new type of life, and then it all kind of falls apart when this motherfucker Joel, for 2 goddamn minutes, cannot just be like, "I'll trust you, random gentleman. That seems like a reasonable call." And he shoots Gail's fucking husband out in the woods.
Okay,
dead.
yeah.
And then
Bro.
when he shoots Eugene dead out in the woods, and there was ample time that they could have got back to Jackson and he could at least saw his wife. But Joel chose, after telling Ellie, when Ellie automatically knew that the shit that he said at the end of season 1 was a fucking lie, right?
But that just kind of solidified her.
As soon as
her suspicion,
she knew that she was torn up inside from that lie, and she didn't want somebody else to have to be put through that because Joel sucks.
See, but I think that's an example.
That was a good forming of the rift between them. I like seeing those cracks.
I agree. I think that's a good that's a good example of an adaptive choice that worked. I think in the game, as far as I remember, we don't really see. It's just kind of like Ellie finds out that he lied to her, and then that kind of starts this wedge between them. But I like that they expanded on that in the show. They were like, Ellie has a suspicion that Joel's lying to her, right? And then the situation presents itself where Joel proves that he is a liar and that he will lie to you in his head for the right cause and for the right reason, for the greater good. Like he's protecting you, exactly. But at the end of the day, he's still lying to you. He swore, he promised, and you still. And there's a great line in the show in this episode where she says, "You swore," and he says, "I didn't swear." And then what does she say? She says, "I don't know," but basically she's alluding to the fact that she's like, I forgot off the top of my head, but she's alluding to the fact that she was talking about that time when they got back from the hospital from where he murdered everybody
from Salt Lake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and in Salt Lake. And so I really like how they introduce Eugene. We see Joey Pants give an incredible performance in the 5 minutes that he's on screen. I think it really helps build that rift, like AZ said, in their relationship and why she is so hurt and stung by him. But I think it works so beautifully also in contrast to what happened, everything we were shown previously, you know, her previous birthdays and how Joel goes out of his way to try to be a good father and that bond that they share. And dude, put some motherfucking respect on Bella Ramsey's name, because the way that they are portraying Ellie when she's 16 years old and she's doing all these kind of like childish like faces and kind of these little idiosyncratic like movements and moments. I think they're incredible in this episode and they're incredible in this show. And it was just so beautiful seeing Joel and Ellie's relationship build and their bond grow, only for that to come crumbling down. And sorry, and I'll start rambling. And then also kind of that bit of hope at the end of the episode where she says, "I don't think I can ever forgive you, but I'd like to try."
Try.
And it's just like, and it's just so heartbreaking knowing, considering what we've seen thus far, what we know of their relationship and how far it's come, and Joel's ultimate demise. You know, it was just such a great episode. Pedro Pascal, I love you, bro. Give him the
I
Emmy.
really love how they can, like, how in those moments, like, Joel can kind of forgive himself, making peace with the fact that, like, he saved Ellie, and Ellie can kind of make peace with herself, knowing with what she's doing, she's like, or I guess more so in the sense that, like, they can forgive each other, right? But they can't forgive themselves for certain things, right? Like, Joel can't forgive himself for, like, letting Sarah die, even though that really wasn't his fault. The man was just trying to get help, and a soldier just tweaked, right? And then Ellie can't forgive herself for letting Joel die when there was truthfully nothing that she could have done. I do like how there's this through line of, like, morality and, like, burdens that are not only cast by you by, like, the outside world, but also kind of, like, you put up on yourself. I think that's pretty neat. I don't know if I'm reading too much into the show, but I gotta give it credit. It's good. It's good stuff.
It is very good. And just, you know, for all the motherfuckers who say it's not like the game or whatever the fuck, the fact that they included that dinosaur bit from the game where they go to the museum, and most importantly, the part where they get into that into the space capsule, and he gives her the tape that's counting down, and she uses her imagination to go. And then when she gets out of it, he's like, "Did I do a good job?" And she's like, "I don't know." Basically, she says, "Yeah." And he has a tear rolling down his fucking face, bro. Come on, how do y'all not like this shit, bro? It's incredible.
Because you're fucking bots.
The best part was, and it was this is the part where we both, my girlfriend and I, like, started to tear up. The conversation between Joel and Ellie outside the house, and, like, you see Joel just silent, but the tears start welling up in his eyes. And he just nods. She asks him a question. He just nods his head. He's doing so much without even saying a single word.
Yes,
it's, like,
incredible.
That's
dude.
That's just how, that's real acting, bro. That's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, people are talking about we should have had white eyes for Batman. Rob does so much with his eyes in the Batman that, like, if you did the white eyes, it would take away from that, you know? And that's another thing that I love this aspect of performance art and filmmaking, dude. So I think, and also the other thing too, I'm glad that they didn't show this stuff and then show, you know, Joel dying, because I feel like the abruptness and how, we just went from we ended season 1, we don't see what happened to get to where we are in season 2. Joel dies the second episode. Everyone's like, what the fuck? What happened?
Yeah.
And then you show this, it adds to the weight.
It's a bigger the emotional payoff is worth it, kind of, right?
Because
you're just like, what the fuck? How did Joel die? We don't know why they hate each other.
Bambi slice of life shit would be like that season 3 of The Walking Dead where they're just on the farm doing chores and it's not really like any action character or anything. It would be so fucking boring and miserable. And then all of a sudden Joel dies and you'd be like, oh, they're just trying to retain the last bit of viewership they knew they were losing from those shitty slice of life episodes. It would seem like a Hail Mary.
Yeah, exactly.
This makes it much more effective. I agree.
I agree. It's an effect. And the game does that very well. And I think that's a good aspect that they kept from the game. That we'll kill Joel and then later we'll have a callback and we'll show actually how close and how beautiful their relationship was before it came crumbling down, only for them to slowly start repairing it, and then that gets fucking ripped from them. And I think having that come after Ellie kills that bitch Nora, I think makes it that much more impactful, because now you're just like, why the fuck why would Ellie do that? I get that they killed Joel, but goddamn, that's kind of violent and kind of like incredibly violent. But then you're just like, no, I get it. I see her reason.
The conversation they had before she beats the shit out of her with the pipe. She said, "Do you know what he did?" And she said, "I know." And I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Exactly. That's a beautiful way to lead into it, because we didn't know that she knew. Exactly. So, and this is just bridging that gap. It's so well done. I'm gonna glaze Craig Mazin as long as I'm alive, dude. Like, I agree. But big shout out to Haley Wegren Gross, who co-wrote this episode. She co-wrote The Last of Us 2, the game, with Neil Druckmann. I think this is her first writing credit on the season so far, and I think you can really see her impact in the show and in this episode. I think it's the most emotional episode to date. I think it's probably one of the best episodes of season 2 to date, and I think with good reason. I think she really kind of adds this beauty and humanity to these characters and to this story that I think was missing. And so I really like and appreciate her input in this episode. So, but yeah, they're cooking. Sorry, I just want to mention it.
Absolutely.
I think I was gonna say in terms of ratings for this, I don't think we should do a hype meter because this is kind of depressing. So I say we do a cry meter, but the cries are good.
How many times did you cry?
I give this 5 tears, bro. 5 thugs.
I give it five. I give it 5 tears out of 5. That's my feelings about this. This made me
5
feel things
tears
that I
out
didn't
of
care
5.
for it.
I think I
5
cried
tears out of
5 times.
Like if you cry every time.
Like if you cry. Good shit.
What about you, Gerardo?
This is like 7.
7
out of 5.
7 thug tears.
7 tears out
He
of
was
5.
fucking bawling. He was depressed.
Beautiful.
I didn't see any of the episode. I was crying so much.
Talk about
Yeah.
crying.
Matt,
Might
how many
cry.
cries?
Matt,
how many tears you give it?
I'm just talking about how that violence is being passed down through generations, through their
You
bloodline.
give it 5, I think.
Speaking of bloodlines, boy, Final Destination, bloodlines.
He's back like he never left.
Just the same way Joel and Ellie reached their final destination in Jackson, Wyoming, we have reached the 6th final destination.
Nice.
That's 2.
When
bro.
is it the
That's
final?
2.
That's 2 for 1. You're welcome.
2 for
That's
1.
the twofer.
Tony Todd's dead, so
I'm giving you another one.
they gotta stop doing
Another
these now, right? Like that's what that's gotta mean, right?
No,
Yeah,
I think
no,
this
they're
movie.
gonna
I think
keep
this
going.
movie is
Unless
gonna.
they-
I think this movie is gonna make enough money, and it's got enough good critical response that it's gonna
Yes.
warrant another
Yes.
one. You're out of your fucking
Danny-
mind if you think they're not gonna make another one. Of these
Listen,
movies. Are
Look
you
at it
kidding?
this way, bro.
Starting-
If they can make 7, no, where are we on now? 12?
6. This is 6.
10 Fast and Furious movies.
Oh yeah.
Same shit over and over again. You're not telling me
Yeah.
you're not gonna make 22
Here,
final.
I'm gonna take a book a page out of AZ's book, and I'm gonna just quickly explain what this movie's about. Final Destination: Bloodlines is the 6th movie in the series.
Niggas die.
Yeah, exactly.
End of story.
Motherfuckers die. Basically, it's about a character, Stephanie Reyes, who has recurring nightmares about her grandma, who survived. Her grandma Iris, who survived a 1960s kind of tragedy, a skyline, the Skyview restaurant kind of catastrophe, and she had her Iris had a premonition, much like all the main characters in these movies, and because of that, saved lots and lots and lots of lives that day. And so, a lot of these families and a lot of these people that survived had families who weren't supposed to exist, and now death has come to collect. And so, it's taken them so long because so many people are alive. And then, it's like any good Final Destination movie. It's about, the main characters discovering what death is, and that there's a plan to death. That death has a list, and them trying to survive and overcome and try to figure out how to get out of this. But yeah, I mean, and it's yes, Stephanie and her brother Charlie and her cousins Eric, Bobby, Julia, her uncle Howard, her
we all know
mother.
the names.
Exactly, and so I know, but that's the thing. That's the thing about these movies. How many Final Destination characters' names do you remember in the grand scheme of
Not a single one.
Clear Rivers.
Clear Rivers? That's it.
That's it.
Just because it's fun to say.
Allie Larder, exactly. But that's not the appeal of these movies. It's not the plot. It's not the character. It's not the art. It's the fucking kills, bro.
every time. Real quick, also,
Not enough Rube Goldberg machines on this one.
while we're going over just how well this movie's doing, I decided to look this up. The budget for this movie is $50 million. Domestically, it has made $62,800,000, and worldwide, it is $116
That's a
million.
That's a hit, baby, and it's only gonna make more.
The energy this is receiving is an energy that I do not think is been seen in the not Fast and Furious. Jesus Christ! Sorry, I confused my franchise there. Little Freudian slip. In the Final Destination series since like maybe
maybe like 4 and 5 were not good, and 3 I think was the last really great one.
Yep.
That's the one with the roller coaster, right?
Yeah, that's the roller coaster one. That one that
Second
made
one
Six
was the
Flags
first-
almost lose
The
money.
best one.
The first one was
I love
the
that one.
airplane. The second one was the log truck. The
Yeah.
third one was the roller coaster. What was the fourth one?
The
Racetrack.
NASCAR, the
The
NASCAR racetrack.
NASCAR racetrack.
Dog
And the
water.
fifth one is
Oh, that's the one with
with the
Chanel.
bridge collapse.
Fifth one is the bridge
Billy
collapse.
Butcher. That's the one with Billy Butcher's wife. The fourth
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
yes.
I
it's,
guess.
it's incredible. This is doing so
Let me cook.
incredibly well, just worldwide, and it has a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 7.1
Crazy.
on IMDb. This thing is doing fucking numbers.
Big numbers.
It's been 14 years since the last movie came out, and I
Yeah,
think
they
I think
let
in
it
a-
breathe.
And I think in an IP riddled world, it's kind of interesting and kind of surprising that they haven't kind of reached into this well, until now. But I think it makes sense considering, like you said, 4 is absolute dog shit. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. 5 is slightly better, but the bar is
10.
is
It's
fucking
not
in
bad.
hell. But it's kind of dog shit as well. So it's like
Two-
they're probably
two
like
is
we've
the
had.
best.
They're like we've had 2
Yeah.
misses. I think we should kind of lay low on it. And I think they kind of. And look, John Watts produced this movie. He helped with the story. He helped shape the story, and I think he kind of brought it back to life. And I think he understood exactly what it was that audiences wanted from these movies. Fuck a plot, fuck a story. They're just like people come
Exactly.
to see cool kills and have a good time. Put
When-
some fucking comedy in there, and that's all you need for
Exactly.
these movies to be good. Go for it.
When we say that this is a good movie, we are not meaning it is like a Dune 2 situation, right?
No.
We mean in terms of a Final Destination movie, right? In terms of what you get when you want to see a Michael Bay movie, when you want to see something fucked up but funny, right? You watch these. Because my God, the deaths in this one are immensely elaborate, just absurdly elaborate, and it also has character progression and a narrative that kind of makes sense, but it has all the staples. It has weird kills that don't make any real sense or any laws of physics. It has semi 2.5 dimensional characters. It has questionable aged people where you're like, is he 25? Is he 15? We don't know. We're not entirely sure.
Well, you know
what
who?
the ages of any of these people are.
But you know who was one of the writers on this movie? Guy Busick, who Gerardo wrote Ready or Not. They've written
I love that movie.
the Scream reboot movies. They wrote Abigail.
Those suck.
Wait,
know,
from
so
Radio?
it's like-
This is
Cinema.
Radio
No,
Silence.
Radio
Sucks,
Silence
too.
directed it. Radio Silence directed it.
Oh, okay.
These are the writers. So I
see.
think I'm just saying they have one of the writers has a good track record, and I think getting John Watts, who regardless of how you feel about his MCU work and that dog shit movie Wolves that he made for Apple TV Plus, I think kind of had a good idea and good grasping and understanding, like I said, of what people wanted from this, what this movie needed to be, and I think they delivered on it. Like Gerardo said, whenever he in the group chat, whenever he saw it, he was like, the acting is good, the kills are awesome. That's all, and that's all you need. And I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
My exact words are story mid, acting solid, kills stellar.
There you go.
And that's all you need.
Exactly.
That's all you need in a Fantastic Fear, in a Final Destination movie.
See, it's easier than you think to slip, right? I don't know why that is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What would y'all say? What would y'all say is your favorite kill in this movie?
Oh, the MRI machine.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Hands down, MRI machine.
Dude.
Honorable mention, the piano. The piano.
The
Fuck
piano.
At the
Yeah.
beginning when
Yeah.
it falls and causes
That one and the elevator where that boy gets cut half sideways. Incredible.
Which one?
That when
with
the
the
elevator
with the
falls and
Maynard
the old
D,
man gets
The
split in half.
Maynard D that gets like
Oh.
split in half.
I
Where he's
like-
like chicken chunks.
I like honorable mention. I like the garbage truck.
The garbage
squishing.
truck one was just funny because
How the
I
fuck was that?
did
Her head
not.
looked weird.
That was mad random. Okay, yes, it did, but
Yeah,
to
it
be
looked
fair,
like practical effects.
they've been doing the technique since like the original movies where they were doing like a bit of practical and a little bit of CG. But I think in this one, the CG wasn't all the way there for quite a few of the shots, so it just kind of looks a little
Here,
questionable.
here's my take on
It
it.
is a pretty low
Yeah,
The
in
first
general,
love it.
low,
that
but
first
yeah.
the shit that happened in the what's it called, the sky
The sky view.
in the
Sky
sky
view.
view, I think that looked
Yeah.
horrific. I think it looks terrible. The CGI is so bad. The lighting is dog shit. But I
But
think
it's
it gets
just-
better. But I think it
it
gets
is-
better as the movie
yeah.
goes on. I think kind of the
Yeah.
first shot, which is like kind of the catastrophe, the big disaster that happens, I think is the worst this movie looks. Other than that, I think the kills look really good. The CGI is pretty good, and it seems like they used a bit of practical effects, and so I'm excited for that.
Now-
I thought it was
The first part with the sky view, right? When they're all getting into that elevator. This thing, they really beat you over the head with the fact that this thing is held together by like glue and dreams. like at first they're like, yeah, they finished 5 months ahead of schedule. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean they finished 5 months ahead of schedule? They built a space needle 5 months less than
they lay it
intended
on
time.
pretty thick.
Oh god.
I thought it was
God.
going
And
to
then-
be the Space Needle at first, and I looked at Taylor and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, you've been there.
And then they fucking
My bad. I might have to cut that. My bad.
Don't you dare cut it.
believe
Anyway,
it. That's
Yeah.
magnificent.
Great value Space Needle. It didn't look great, but the kills were fun.
Yeah.
I don't think you
I-
need to say anything more than
I-
that.
Yeah, the best part, just a
Also,
that
we
little
need to
shit,
mention-
the terrible little boy getting
Yeah,
crushed.
fuck
is
that little boy.
great.
But speaking of a great little boy, baby Tony Todd.
Oh
I
yeah,
love that.
great. I think we
He
had to
was
talk
great.
about him. Yeah. R.I.P. the late great Tony Todd
Mhm.
with his last film performance. A staple, and I think a kind of a horror
A
staple.
lot of horror. Yeah.
The
yeah, but-
Candyman.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
Candyman. But I think this franchise in particular, I never saw the original Candyman. The first time I saw him was in the Final Destination movies. And I think this movie, it's not obviously the greatest thing we've ever seen, but I think his performance is legitimately great. I think the kind of send-off that he has, I think, is beautiful. Gerardo, you had mentioned something about one of the lines in the film.
His last part of his I guess you call it a monologue was
Mhm.
not scripted. He was told by the directors to just speak from his heart, a message to the Final Destination fans,
Mhm.
and it's incredibly heartfelt, and it made me cry. Where he just tells you, he's like,
What did he
said
say?
he's I'm
I've been
I'm
running
not
from
quoting
death
him
for
exactly.
over 20 years or something, and he's
Yeah,
like,
but
I plan on be just enjoying the time I got left.
Mhm.
His
He said,
character
"Hope-
has cancer in the movie.
Yeah.
By the way, he's the little boy who survived. He was he was the last to die in Iris's
Second to last, yeah.
premonition. No, last to die. He's after
Oh.
Iris. Last to die in Iris's premonition. And so the reason he survived so long is because death has been killing all the survivors and their family members one by one, and he's the very last person. So that's why he's had so many years to live. And he says, precisely that. I'm gonna enjoy the time I have left. And the fact that Gerardo said that line was improvised. And Tony Todd had cancer in real life and
Mhm.
passed away. What was it, last year, I think? And so knowing that and seeing that, I think was I did not expect it to be, but it was so beautiful and it was kind of so moving and touching and
not what you expect from this kind of
not
movie.
what I expected from this movie, from that performance. And it carries. There's something just kind of funny about the fact that such a powerful, moving moment exists in a movie that is Final Destination Bloodlines, but it's just so, I don't know, man. He was incredible, and we really lost a real one.
Yeah.
And he, in that scene that he's in, he's chewing up the scenery and he is in his fucking bag. And what a way to go out, man. He was incredible. Rest in power, King.
Matt, your thoughts?
Tony Todd is, like you guys said, he's a staple in the horror scene. I think the world lost a great actor and a great person when he passed. Between the Final Destination series or Candyman, or if you know, he's the voice of Venom in Spider-Man, the video game. My goat, my goat. He's such an iconic voice, and You know, when he portrayed Candyman, he got paid for every bee sting when the bees were in his mouth. Like, this is someone who's committed to his craft.
Yeah.
And just knowing that line was improvised. Man, I'm about to tear up. Knowing that line was improvised, dude. I think it's another Chadwick Boseman situation. You know, he's working and he knows this might be his last project. This might be his last work, and he's giving it his all. And I think that's real. You know, we talk about a lot of films and a lot of actors and movies on this show, on this channel. And there's some folks who just don't. You can tell they don't really care. They're just kind of there for a paycheck. But when you see someone who like really their heart is into what they're doing, it's so special, dude. It's so special seeing stuff like that. And rest in power to Tony Todd. You're a legend. You will be missed. Final Destination, as goofy and campy as these movies are, it's great seeing someone have such longevity in their career and just be part of their career. You know?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's awesome to see that he was just kind of like, hell yeah, I'll do this movie. That was a steady paycheck. That was a steady paycheck for like a decade. The first one came out in 2000. The fifth one came. He wasn't in the fifth. He's been in all of them, right?
He's been in every single one.
The fifth one came out in 2000.
Either way, it's been close to 20 years.
I'll look at 4, I think.
My boy had a steady paycheck for 10 years, 11 years. That's a good gig right there. And like we said, he's been a staple. He's done so much. He was incredible. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's just this movie was a lot better than it had the right to be, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to handle. I mean, it's a horror movie. It's not really a horror movie. It's kind of like a. I don't know how you would categorize it. Right, like a
disaster
drama. A disaster. It's more like a disaster film.
Yeah,
because you're there for more so the spectacle. You're not there for anything of any real like cinematic substance. You're not there with like a wine glass. You know. You're not being a cinephile.
I just want to shout out some of the actors before we move on. You know, I think people did really good. I think the main actress Caitlin Santa Juana. She was incredible as Stephanie. I think her brother, Theo Briones, he was a Nepo baby. His dad is John Briones, who's a very famous Broadway actor. Was the guy who played Eric, the kind of the alternative goth dude, Richard Harmon. He played Richard. He was awesome. I think his brother, Bobby, played by Owen Patrick.
He was the best.
He was incredible. I loved him.
The one with Paco, the turtle?
Yeah. Paco's
dad.
How old is that brother? We don't know.
He looks old as shit.
He's either 16 or 30.
When I saw the main character in college in the class, she's like, she freaks out. I turn to my girlfriend and I say, she is not. She looks 35. She's supposed to be in college. She looks 45 years old. She's supposed to be in college. No, but I think.
I was gonna say.
Go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, even I think the only person in here that kind of looks like their reasonable age is like maybe not even the grandma, because somehow Tony Todd also looks older than her. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's always so interesting because when you look at these movies, just kind of like from a historical perspective, the only person to come out of these movies and have like a legit career, like an incredible career, is Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Mm-hmm.
That is
there's I forgot what her name is. I think it's AJ something, the one that's in Criminal Minds. He's had a pretty substantial career, at least with that franchise and like minor roles.
Exactly. Who? No one knows. Justina Machado is in the second movie, and she's had a pretty, long career. She's been in stuff. She's worked. I think Ali Larder, who plays Clear Rivers, she's in Landman this previous season, so she's working too. But the only one who's had like a career, who's famous, is I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and it's so interesting to see that a lot of like the lead actors or people in these movies don't really. I mean, they work, they do stuff, but nothing substantive or of importance. So I'm really curious to see how many of these actors, if any of them, have a career moving forward. It's just a neat little thing to kind of like, I guess keep your eye on, to watch out for.
I think the way Hollywood's set up right now, the way like if you're in a project that blows up and goes crazy, no matter how like goofy or campy it is, you're gonna have you're gonna have some calls, some emails in your inbox, bro.
Oh yeah.
And like you can be in dog shit films. If that shit takes off somehow, man, expect people to call you. So if and as an aspiring actor myself, if I get cast in some bullshit on Tubi and now it takes off, man, look, I'll be happy. I'll be praise God. Let's throw me in the Avengers next. Let's go.
Yeah, and then Jodie Foster will shit on you because she just said something at Cannes talking about how young actors have no pride in the work that they do. They just do garbage and they're okay with it. So
I didn't say I'm okay with it.
I'm just saying.
That's what they're making right now. Not
I want to be in great.
Not everybody can make Taxi Driver at 12 years old. Jodie Foster.
Who was her daddy?
Jodie. Yeah, Jodie. I don't have
Jodie.
access, so I have a fucking job, Jodie. Damn. I can't move my whole life to Hollywood, Jodie.
Anyways, what would you guys rate this movie?
Oh wait, there's two things. There's two things. I was gonna say to do just the one negative that I have. Now I'm thinking about it, I don't even think it's really a negative because it was the rules being weirdly inconsistent and nonsensical. But then I realized what franchise I'm in. Never mind.
What rules? What in particular? What about them?
Okay, so it said it was like killing everybody in the family, but that one guy was not the biological son.
No,
and Death was just like, I mean, he's here. Why
they
not?
explained it. They said when you fuck with Death, things get messy. That was literally the explanation for why he died when he wasn't part of the family. Tony Todd told you when you fuck with Death, or the grandma Iris, she said when you fuck with Death, things get messy. He fucked with Death.
Okay,
it got pretty messy for him.
Then you follow up, and this is possibly just a misconception that I had while I was watching the movie. But does that mean that like all the other disasters and all those other people that died during those disasters were somehow related to people that were in the space?
The board implies that yes.
That's what I was.
The board has the date of the like flight 1, whatever the fuck,
180,
and it has like
the other stuff. I wasn't entirely sure what they were saying with that, so I was like, okay, because if so, that's bold, but it's interesting.
I was wondering if that was the case too. I was like, okay, so does this mean that every movie that's happened before this was because they were all family members of people who survived that?
Yeah, the implication is yes.
That's kind of dumb. I don't like that. But
I think this is considered. Yeah, this is considered the. How do I word this? The timeline gets a little murky.
Yeah,
confusing.
But
because the fifth one is technically a prequel. I'm reading here. It's a prequel to the first movie.
Yeah, so it is. Like, it ends with them getting on the plane and Alex from the first movie getting everybody off the plane and then dying.
That still does kind of work. Before this happens in like 1959, the Skyview incident.
Yeah,
68
or whatever the fuck. But
either way, before the 90s, which is when the movie takes place.
Came out 2000.
Takes place in the 90s though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways.
But if y'all had to rank like the best and the worst kill, best kill definitely goes to the CAT scan for me, purely because I had the MRI machine. Sorry, I had to Google like a dumbass if that could actually happen.
When he got like magnetized to that.
Yeah, we talking about the coil or the wheelchair.
No, Eric's death with all the piercings.
Where they just flew off. Oh, it's just like, oh man.
What was the worst one?
That shit got hurt. I think that was the worst kill in the grand scale of things.
Like
not
shit.
The trash can.
The trash truck.
The trash truck did look like shit, but the one that I thought was kind of lame was just like the mom. I think the mom dying at the end was kind of fucking whack.
And quick thing before we go on, rank the movies from best to worst, really quick.
Okay.
Here we go. Just to see,
whatever.
Matt.
So
all right, easy, go, Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, let Easy go.
Easy.
This is number what? 6?
Best to worst.
This is number 6.
Okay, yeah, Bloodlines.
All right, so I put 6 at the top. It's not my actually no 3. 3.
Correct answer.
Right.
Good
3,
answer.
6, right? Then 5, because 5 at least tried to do something a little bit different, right? And when I first saw that twist, I was like, bold. It's a risk. Better than 4, right?
Yeah.
Then right below that, I'd put the one with the log truck is
2.
2, correct?
Mhm.
2, 1, of course, because that was doing that like just a year or 2 before 9/11. Hilarious.
a year,
It's a literal year.
before 9/11.
A year, bro. They said they had to.
How'd they know? What'd they know?
An incredible way
Don't get me
for that to line up with just terrible real world events. And at the very bottom, I don't even want to put on the list. 4 is the worst piece of dog shit I've ever seen. The most elaborate kill in that is that one where the racist guy gets dragged on fire down the road.
God,
and
that
I
movie's
still
so
like
fucking bad, dude.
I like that.
I had to take it off when I
I know.
rewatched it.
All right, Gerardo,
Hold on,
your
what were they
turn.
cooking? What were they cooking? Drag the racist down the road. Hold on.
They were cooking him.
Gerardo, your ranking.
My favorite is the third one,
Mm-hmm.
and then I like the second one,
Mm-hmm.
and then I like the fifth one. I know it's a
Hot
I
take.
know it's a hot take. I really like it. It came out at an important time in my life. Then I like Bloodlines, and then I like the first one,
Wow.
and then I like 4,
Okay.
and I like them all except for 4.
Yeah, agreed. I want to preface.
It's
I want
just
to preface
my
this.
preference.
Yeah.
Entirely
I want to
fine.
preface this by
Entirely
saying
fine.
I like all of them except for 4 can burn in hell. It's horrific.
Yeah, 4 could not exist, and I'd be happy.
I'll go. Yeah. The best one is 3. Is 3 roller
Yes.
coaster one.
Good,
Oh yeah.
Then Bloodlines. This one.
crazy.
Then
Good
the first one with the plane, the OG. Then number 2 with the car crash.
Logs,
Then number 5, the one with the
bridge.
and then 4, the racetrack. That shit's horrific. So 3, 6, 1, 2, 5, 4.
4. Wrong,
My
but it's
ranking
okay.
is
That's the correct answer. Any other listing is wrong. What'd you say, Matt? Yours is the same as mine.
Yeah.
You know ball. Matt
My
knows
ranking
ball.
is actually 4.
Nah.
Number 1. No, I'm fine.
End the podcast, and that's the end of today's episode.
No, it's the same. It's the same. It's actually kind of it's somewhere in between yours and AZ's. Obviously, 4 is dead last.
Mhm.
There's
As
nothing
God
to say,
intended.
nothing else to say about that. Except for the racist getting dragged.
Yeah.
We like that.
We
Turn
like
that
that.
up.
Do that
in
shit in
number
real
7,
life. Do that shit in
please.
real
Say,
life.
drag them
Put that
again.
number 7, please.
Drag him again.
Drag them again. The issue that I have trying to level which one is the number 1, because 6, 3, and what was it again? 6, 3, and 1. 1 is iconic because it's the first one.
Right.
It's important because you don't get the rest of these without that one. But also, like, it's kind of like a cult classic at this point, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think disaster film, movies like this, movies like you don't get movies like whatchamacallit. What's that shit?
Epic movie.
2012.
San
Bullshit
Andreas.
like that. All types of
Andreas.
with the goofy ass
Skyscraper.
kills in their skyscraper. Any Dwayne Johnson film. Yeah.
Only disasters that those movies got made.
Except
So
for
did you-
Smash Machine. We fucking
So
with
what-
that.
Hey, and
Maybe,
he's in, and that Martin Scorsese movie he's making.
Oh yeah, that one's gonna be a banger.
He and his tour
maybe.
bag. He and his tour bag.
He saw,
All right,
he
so-
saw my tweets.
So what was your ranking?
She
Shit.
didn't do it.
All right. Correct ranking. 3.
All right,
number
go
1.
for it.
Good.
6, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Off the ball. Offside.
1, number 3.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Eh.
I'm gonna test the air right here.
2.
5. No. Yeah, we'll do 5. Number 4. What number am I?
Oh,
Then
okay.
2. Then of course. See,
Four.
number 2 fucked me up. I can't drive behind trucks no more, man.
No.
I can't do it.
That's
Nah.
why
I
we got
can't.
it. It's
I
iconic.
I drive behind them more now
See that?
He said, "Do it."
in the hope.
I want to see it.
Please. Let's
I like how
dig
everyone,
the
I like how everyone picked 3 as number 1, and I think it has to do with like
Because it's so.
When
I
it
have not been to
dropped,
Six Flags since seeing that shit.
it's
I have not
iconic.
set foot in Six Flags.
Mary
And I
Elizabeth
won't.
Winstead's incredible. I think
I think
Yeah.
also
we're really nostalgic about it. I just think it's the most fun one.
it also has the most like effectively followed use of the rules of the franchise. Like the
Yeah.
photos are easy to follow. It doesn't beat you over the head with like different loopholes and shit. It's just like, look at the photo. You see that? That sun in the background, that means they're gonna die in tanning beds. Carry on. Like that, like it's so straightforward. And I love that. I love
Yeah.
that so fucking much.
So
and I
good.
think personally, the second best one is actually number 2. Primarily because if you'll notice at the end of this movie, they got killed by logs.
Yes.
Mhm. The
Oh,
train.
I'm
Yeah,
just
that was a
saying,
good
I'm just
catch.
saying. I'm just saying. I caught it as soon as I saw those bitches fly out. I was like, "Is that
Bro,
who I think it is?"
I called something in this movie too. Whenever we got that fake out, I said, "Oh, he's adopted, or his mom fucked some other dude out of wedlock and had him." And sure enough, she was like, "Oh, fuck Jerry Jones or whoever the fuck the neighbor was that was trying to, whoever the fuck the neighbor was that cracked her shit and ended up giving birth to Eric." But it's a good time, man. Go watch it, guys.
It's
I'll
good.
give it a 8 out of 10 just for sheer entertainment value. Good time. I laughed. I had it was fun. 8 out of 10.
Agreed.
I'd say I give it a 9.
8 out of 10.
I had to give it a 9, dude. I got to see a piano crush a kid. The whole time I hated that fucking kid, and I saw him
He's
get
such
crushed
a
by a
fucking
piano.
bitch, bro.
That was the happiest moment of my
I
goddamn
related a
life.
lot to that kid. I can't.
I
can't
laughed the loudest I ever laughed in my life.
Oh, I laughed loud as shit.
I
too when
clapped,
he
and
died.
I'm the only one that did. And I didn't like it.
Dude, I clapped. I should have been
They're
in
not
the
real.
theater. It was
They're not real.
beautiful.
They're pussy.
Cinema.
Capital C Skinema.
Skin-
Oh my god.
I think I'm the most negative on this, not because I hate it, but just like it's all right. I think it's a good addition, a better addition than some. I'd say like a 7 out of 10.
Hey,
Go in
fair,
drunk if you can,
fair.
so you can ignore the
Oh,
script.
dude, I watched
just
it
look at the
very
kills.
high. It was incredible. It was an amazing time.
High on alcohol, he means.
If you
High on
go in-
alcohol.
First of all, if you go into any Final Destination film expecting some like fucking like some There Will Be Blood or whatever,
And
bro,
man, there's always hope, even though they always dash it.
You're not
respect
getting a
yourself,
Hereditary. You're not getting a Battle
Respect
Royale. You are getting Final Destination.
Battle Royale script is ass. Don't play with me. Don't ever,
Yeah,
don't
Battle
ever
Royale
mention,
is a- Battle
don't
Royale
ever
is a-
mention
is a-
those two fucking movies together again.
Battle
Respect
Royale is a
yourself,
whole lot of
dude.
mid.
On God, respect.
I respect what it did for the genre. That script was doo-doo
Conic, it's a
cockroach.
whole lot of mid.
Yeah.
Listen,
yourself. But you know it's not mid.
I've learned something new today. What?
This episode of Cinestro. Shout out everybody who tuned in with us. Appreciate y'all watching the greatest podcast of all time. Go ahead and tap in with our boys over there at the Backstage OL. If you want to hear some news about cinema, TV, games, media, check in with the boys at Backstage OL. They're expanding different markets now. So if you live somewhere where Backstage is, tune in, bro. Please support the homies.
Yeah, if you live in a city, tune in.
Tune in. Yeah. I don't know what cities y'all live in. We got some UK Mandem following the podcast. Shout out, bro. What's up?
Shout out Mendon.
Shout out to Mandem. If you're from the UK, leave a British flag in the chat. Don't colonize the chat though. Don't do that.
Boy, bro.
Speaking of supporting the bros, supporting the homies, shout out AZ. Follow AZ at Tari Singo on the YouTubes, on the Instagrams. Well, Instagram is Big Papa Tari, but on the other handles at Tari Singo. Also on Twitch. Twitch.tv.
I dusted off my
Tari
Twitch.
Singo.
Come watch it. I might play something one of these days. You might like it.
Go
You might
back.
not. Come and find out.
Go back for real.
Go back.
Tap in. And speaking of the GOAT, tap in with us as well at Cinestro Corp. No S. Legally
No S.
and metaphysically, we cannot do the S. And hypothetically, metaphorically,
Technologically.
hyperbolically, technologically, You know,
legitimately,
logistically, it's not allowed. It's not allowed.
Theoretically,
you know, improbability, all of that shit. PEMDAS,
improbability.
But until next time, y'all, stay awesome. Drink your water, brush your teeth, stop being racist.
Wipe your ass.
And tune into the next
Wash
episode.
it in the shower.
Peace.
We're the kings of the spring, yeah. Cinestro core, we're the dream, yeah. New episode Saturday afternoon. We in your ear, that comic book crew. More good it takes, what we do. Cinestro core, we're the